Go back in time with me, if you will. The year is 2013. I'm fresh off my mission, married, really excited about life. I log onto my computer because my friends have told me about this thing that I've kind of heard a little bit about, but not much. TED Talks. The wonderful world of TED Talks. I found out that there's people on this platform that just they talk about science stuff and they talk about crazy new ideas or whatever. Awesome. So I jump on there and I check it out. Back in 2013, it was kind of cool. Didn't have to hear about the coof. Shut the fuck up, Bill Gates. They got some stupid ideas here. They got some stupid things they'll talk about, but at least I don't have to run into any stupid ex-Mormon shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, enough reminiscing about the good old days. Let's talk about what TED is like now. And again, tedx, it doesn't count. Here we have, dismantling white supremacy in education. I bet she has a bunch of really awesome ideas that I would love for my kids to be indoctrinated in. Let's see.
How many people here believe in equity and justice?
Ooh, no, lady, not me. Okay, so if you're not enveloped in this, like I am, you probably don't really think too much about that word. But that word equity, it's very special because she keeps combining it with justice. Now, don't get that confused with equality because it sounds a lot like equality. They are not the same thing. You might hear some talks about the difference between equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. And that's what equity is. That's the difference between those two. Equality of opportunity means that everybody gets the same chance, the same, nobody's barred from any institution based on identity characteristics, based on anything really. It's entirely on their own merits. It's the idea behind equality of opportunity, equality in general. Equity, or equality of outcome, aims to basically, and I've argued with a bunch of so-called libertarians about this, who said there's really no distinction between equality of opportunity and equality of outcome, because if the opportunities were identical, then the outcomes would also be identical, and that's just goddamn stupid. Thomas Sowell talks a lot about that. He talks about, okay, well, what about siblings? How do you have siblings who basically have the same upbringing, have such wildly different? Why is Elon Musk's sibling? I don't know if he has siblings. Why are they not multi-billionaires?
How many people believe education is one of the most powerful tools in building our future society? Now, how many people here identify as a white supremacist? So we can agree that we all believe in equity and justice and using education to build that future.
No. Maybe all of the dipshits that are there haven't listened to enough of your ilk to understand what you mean by that. No, I don't think that equity has anything to do with justice. In fact, I think those two run counter to each other. I also don't think equity has any place being taught in schools. If you want to teach my kid about stuff, I want you to teach him about math. No, don't leave your ideology out of it. We've already had this discussion with the Christians. And we'll probably still have it for a long time. They'll be really mad that there's no prayers at the beginning of school or whatever, and that's stupid. Keep your ideology, keep your theology out. I don't understand why it's the lefties that don't get this. The ones that claim to be so non-religious, that don't understand that your ideology needs to get the hell out of school. Because they were the ones preaching it for so long. They were the ones saying, no, we shouldn't have Bible study class in school. Anyway, this is a fun story she's about to tell.
When I was in third grade, I was taught a very powerful lesson about white supremacy. This was in 1988. And I observed my teacher chase an African-American boy around the room, shove him against the wall, hold him down, and force him to eat soap. He spoke out against her. And the reason he spoke out against her was because one by one, throughout the year, she was moving every Black student to one side of the room until the room was segregated into white students and Black students. And one day she looked at the white students in the room and she said, "Don't you wish we could put a curtain there so we didn't have to look at them?"
That didn't fucking happen in 88. Come on. Maybe like right at the beginning of integration. And I don't know. I don't think this happened. And I'll explain later on why I especially don't think this happened. But this is another big lefty thing on there. I bet she's got some tweet about how her kid sobbed to her the day that Hillary Clinton lost the election. Says, "Dude, does America really hate women that much, Mom?" And then the whole store clapped.
Now, in Audre Lorde's famous essay, "The master's tools can never be used to dismantle the master's house."
Oh my God. I told you you're going to get tired of hearing that phrase. My God, I am.
She argues that we can't possibly destroy a system like white supremacy and build something new if we're using the same tools that created it. So if I fail to examine how I might be implicit and complicit in this system, then I might be sustaining that same white supremacy and passing it on to my students.
She's about to get into the other reason why I'm just completely positive that that story did not happen.
I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't even tell anyone about this until right now.
That's such bullshit. You didn't tell anyone about it until right now because it didn't happen. You're telling us that we need to talk more about equity and overthrowing white supremacy in our schools. And you're trying to tell me this thing that happened over 30 years ago to you? You've never once brought it up. You're the type of person that wants to dismantle white supremacy, and you have like an ironclad story of actual overt shitty against a child racism, and you just I didn't tell it to anybody until just now. It's the craziest thing. Fuck off.
Now, when I first started preparing for this talk, I was afraid to tell people what my talk was about. But as I've been preparing the last few months, I've been talking about white supremacy a lot, very loudly, with everyone that I meet. My roommates have been getting up in the morning, they're taking showers, I'm talking about white supremacy. They're eating their Cheerios, I'm talking about white supremacy. They have people coming over the house, they're trying to play guitar and hang out, and I'm like, but what about white supremacy?
It must be a lot of fun. You know, the liberal ally type gets a lot of shit for being very performative, but really there's nothing else they can be but performative. That's what this ideology requests of them. It begs them to be performative, and then it absolutely shits on them for being performative because it's cringy as hell. And everybody knows it, even the people telling you that you need to do these things. It is funny the amount of times she mentions herself, like, yeah, I'm just always talking about white supremacy. I'm one of the good whites.
As I've continued talking to people, I've realized that actually people are relieved to talk about this.
Yeah, people are just stoked as hell to hear about how they personally contribute and benefit from an oppressive system. And the only way to get out of it, well, you can't really ever get out of it because it's original sin. But the only way to kind of get a little bit away from it is to just constantly grovel, constantly, as she's been doing, talk about white supremacy. But people are relieved to hear about that. So I have a little bit of experience here because I was a Mormon missionary for 2 years, where I preached to people. If there's one thing I learned as a Mormon missionary, it's people just love it when you preach to them. People just love it when you moralize to them. But I'll tell you what, I would have 1,000 times rather be preached to by the Mormon missionaries than her. Here's a fun little segment that is just so easily debunkable.
Codes talks about In Between the World and Me, how Black people's bodies are actually in physical danger. Now, what danger am I in today giving this talk? Maybe somebody doesn't like my talk. Maybe I make somebody upset. That's a risk I can take.
Hey, I'm one of those people that doesn't like your talk. So she's talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates, the writer. She's explaining to this like, oh, one thing I can do as a white ally is to put my body in a position to where if a Black person's body, they use that word body all the time, I don't know why I do it, put my white body in a position to where if a Black body were there, it would be in danger, but my privilege prevents me from being in danger. That's the idea behind what she's saying. The problem is she then goes on to say, if somebody, like I, as a white body, am not in danger from giving this talk. Well, okay, how many Black dudes give this exact same talk? Ibram X. Kendi gives talks like this all the time. They're somehow even less intelligible than this nonsense, and he's not in danger. You're not in danger if you have like the most popular opinion that the media hawks all the time. You're going to be just fine. Here's a fun thing they do is that when they make fun of, when they bitch about systems, that's another thing. You'll hear a lot of the master's tools thing. You will hear a lot. You'll hear constantly about systems from these type of people.
As I'm speaking, also, we could just defer all the responsibility on that teacher, but she was part of a larger system too. She started this job, I'm sure, because she wanted to teach little children, and instead, she ended up inflicting harm because of the system she was a part of.
Oh, and inflicting harm. They will always say harm. You are causing harm. You are perpetuating harm. If you believe that a man is a man and cannot ever be a woman, that sex is unchangeable and synonymous with gender, you are causing harm to transgender people who are at risk of hurting themselves because of your opinion. Change your opinion or else you're causing harm. Now, it's also convenient to claim that each individual act is a symptom of a system is just absolute horseshit. And if you go back to that week where John DeLynn was shitting on Brad Wilcox, he was doing that the entire time. He was making sure that, oh, no, we're mostly criticizing the system because that's more convenient for our agenda. She could say that this teacher was a racist piece of shit, which this definitely real hypothetical teacher that definitely existed in this event that definitely happened was a racist asshole. Definitely should have been fired. Probably should have gone to jail for assaulting a kid. But if you just claim that that's the individual, like, oh yeah, she's a crazy one, well then you miss a perfect, wonderful opportunity to criticize an entire system. And they never miss that opportunity. Like, oh, this teacher, this crazy one-off teacher, this, like, if you go back to that era, if this happened, it didn't happen. If it happened, that was not common. That was not a common thing to happen. Racism, overt racism like that was not common in 1988. Not from public servants, not from teachers, where they actually tackle and segregate black and white students. So claiming that her overt racism is a symptom of a racist system that she comes from, but somehow all of the other teachers' non-racism is not a symptom of that same system. It's just it's cherry picking.
So how can we challenge that institution? Right now, there is a lawsuit by the American Civil Liberties Union about how schools are still segregated today, demanding that we educate all students equitably.
Students are still segregated. I wonder if I wish there was some sort of a policy we could enact. Like, I don't know, like maybe if you could get like a voucher, something like that, something to vouch for you, to say, oh, this kid wants to go to a different school. But maybe like if you had some sort of a choice over which school you go to. I don't know. I'm starting to sound like that racist Betsy DeVasa, so I need to stop hawking that. Who also sounds like that other racist Thomas Sowell. The world is a joke.
Now, I'm a teacher of performing arts and language arts. So who am I to be talking about race?
Yes, exactly. Stop talking about it. It's not your job. Teach my kid how to play the recorder, all right? That's barely even something that I think is necessary, so just be happy you have a job.
I teach something very important. I teach students to imagine.
Okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. The rest of this is just corny bullshit where she's just said, just imagine. Like, at the farthest lefty you could find to scold her for this. So like I said, the rest of that is just corny nonsense. So I'm not going to watch the rest of it. Plus, it sucks. Anyway, this has been me Googling stupid shit. The stupid shit that I Googled, by the way, was the exact same as the last one. Just a different video on it, on Deconstructing Whiteness. Anyway, remember to give yourself your public lashing. Some way to virtue signal. Maybe go donate to the GoFundMe of a 12-year-old girl who wants to get her boobs removed or something like that. I don't know.
I hate the fact that I'm a straight white male